All right, so we just finished chapter 4, and as I go through chapter 4, it's been very exciting for me to do this in all honesty, because not only did I write the book, but now I'm reading it and I'm taking notes on the book so I can have these tailgate conversations with you and these, heart to hearts, and kind of just hear me, the author, the whatever you want to call it, behind the man behind the words, the man behind the curtain, and you listening to this. And chapter 4 was all about brand, and I'm going to be real honest. I remember the day that Russell Brunson asked us to write that eulogy, and when he shared his, we were in Cancun, Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, and we were at a resort down there, and he asked us to do it, and there were about a third of the room got up and left because they were scared to death. They didn't do it, and they don't know what they're missing out on by not doing this, because this is such a great exercise, and I'm so glad that he gave it to us. Because I literally went back and found that when I wrote this chapter. And I adjusted it a little bit, don't get me wrong. Things have changed in the couple years since I was there to when I'm here. But it really shaped this whole chapter, writing your eulogy, writing that thing, they read at your funeral. And then I had a lot of fun designing the image in this one. If you don't have the book, you should get it. You should get the hard copy because the image is just amazing. But, it's exciting to think about this, and man, I'm going to kind of rewind a little bit. I remember our Mac Plus that we had, and that thing was lived in my room. It was cool. I had a desk in my room. I was so excited. I had a computer in my room. It was the early 90s. It was unreal. It was so cool. And today, that's nothing, because we all carry around computers in our pocket. We have these things called smartphones. And what's next? I don't know. They've already done glasses and stuff like that. I don't know what's next for where we're going with technology, but I'm excited to see it. But that was a huge. And then internet was another big thing, right? Nobody's gonna remember the dial-up modem. My kids have no idea what that sound is, and if you're listening to this, you might not know what the sound is. I don't know, but I remember sitting there listening to those pitches, and I knew the pitches by heart, and I could tell you when it wouldn't connect because a pitch was wrong in the dial-up modem. But that's all that's brand. Going back to that Apple and what they discovered and what they've built, and kind of now that Steve Jobs is gone and out of the picture, he's passed away, but they don't have that next visionary in there yet to push it to the next level. And that's what we need in our lives. We need that visionary. We need the vision. We have to build our brand so that others, right? Our brand is about the experience of others when they're around us. Does that make sense? It's not necessarily what we want it to be. It's not what we say it is. Our brand is what others experience about us. It's what they say when we're not in the room. And so what is your brand? If you sit there and you think about this, for reals, what is your brand? Right? Don't be a beige box. Be uniquely you. God designed you this way for a reason. Don't hesitate to be this way. Don't hesitate to be amazing and unique in you. Right? Your brand isn't built on a stage. It's not built in spotlights. It's not built in the social media highlight reel that everybody sees, and just the fancy pictures and videos and the prep and the rehearsal. I'm going to be real with you. This right here isn't rehearsed. I literally read the chapter, and last night I read the chapter and I took notes on it as I went through the chapter, which is super exciting. I love that. And you guys should be doing the same thing. And then I'm none of this is scripted. None of this is polished. I haven't had an editor go through this, so you guys are getting raw, real Dan. So if something slips out, I don't know what to tell you. But that's you got to be you, and that's goes back to my core values. And I think your core values are so important. And we talked about those. Extreme ownership is one of my core values. It's a whole chapter in this book. Right? Having humility is kind of one of my core values as well, in all honesty, and being humble. And I take those core values in my leadership. I take them into my business with me. And when you build your foundation, that's built on your core values. And so if you aren't living your core values, then you need to either adjust and figure out what your core values are, what you want them to be, or you need to figure out what they currently are. And honestly, I encourage you to figure out what they currently are and then make adjustments and small tweaks as you go. Because if you try to flip your life on its head, it's going to have problems, right? I talk about that a little bit later about the rudder and the boat and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where you just really need to figure out where you're currently at and then make small tweaks to get where you want to go. And throughout this entire chapter, one of the things that I wrote down was, this is my exact comment. Man, I love the Dan quotes in this chapter. And I just talked about humility, but this is still like super humble. The fact that this stuff is written down and it's in black and white, like I love some of the quotes from Dan in this chapter. And I know that's me, and I know that sounds a little awkward. It's really awkward for me to say too, but like there's some gold there. Okay? One of my favorites is if I win at business but lose at home, I just got busy. How many of us are busy right now? Right? Like I just did an interview with somebody yesterday, and she really wants to come work for our company, but she makes so much money where she is right now, and I'm just like, I can't touch that. You have some options, right? But she's busy because her big thing is like she's not with her family, and she knows that. And that's what's killing her. And so she's winning at business, but she's losing at home. She's busy. And I've been there. You've probably been there too, right? And so what I really want you to do is I want you to evaluate that, and I want you to look at where you're at and what your values are and how you get there, right? And integrity is probably one of the biggest things that I think you should have as one of your values. In integrity, you can define it however you want to, but when your actions don't match your values, you start losing integrity. And that means you lose followers. And that means you're just out taking a walk. If you don't have anybody following you, you're just out walking. You're not leading. Just saying. Right? I think my favorite one in here, though, my favorite lesson comes from the eulogy, and it's the 86,000 cents, 86,000 seconds in a day, and $86,000. And if you lose $10, you're going to spend the rest of the money trying to find it, type of thing. Like, I love that lesson. It's so good because it hits me in my heart, because I sit there and I think about it a lot, and I go, how often do I let people live rent free in my head? How often do I let situations live rent free in my head because I allow them to? Right? I have to take the loss, learn the lesson, and keep moving forward. And that really helps me, like that one lesson really helps me to keep that in mind. Because there's so much good there. There's so much, right? Would I piss away $86 million to get back $1 million? No, not a chance. No way. No way. No way. Okay? Brand isn't what you say it is, it's what you carry every day. And I love the graphic in this one for Ride for the Brand. It's one of my favorites. If you don't know cattle or anything like that, like they actually brand cattle. We did that for a long time. Still do that, but it's like riding for the brand means you're there. You're living for that rancher. Like your life is that herd. You'd be willing to give down your life for your herd. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to give up everything you have for your herd, for the people you leave? For the people you lead? Like, would you do that for them? If not, you need to look at your leadership and be like, what are you willing to give up for the people you lead? And then look at the people who you are following, and ask yourself, are they willing to do that? And if not, you might need to make some changes. I loved this part of it. It says, nobody drifts into greatness. You have to define it. You have to define what you want and do the work to get there. Like, that may not be the exact phrase in the book, so you can go back and be like, I never heard that in the book. But like, that's what it meant. You can't drift into greatness. You can't float into greatness. You have to paddle. You have to work to get to where you want to go. Right? And the reason most people aren't great is because it looks like work. And it's dressed in overalls with dirty hands. Right? There's so much to that I really, like, are you afraid to work? Are you afraid to work? Are you afraid to go to that next step? Are you afraid to do what it takes to get there? Right? Don't be afraid to, like, do the work. Nobody drifts into greatness. You have to define it and work for what you want to get there. And here's the last thing, guys. Did you actually write your brand? Like, you listen to this chapter, but did you pause it and write your brand? Did you write what you want? If not, what the heck are you waiting for? Like, seriously, pause this right now. Reread the chapter if you have to, and write your freaking brand. Stop waiting. Like, get it done. Because I want you to kill it. I want you to be amazing. I want you to go get this done. If you don't define your brand, you'll never know where you're going. And I'm going to leave you with this final thought for chapter 4. If you want to be remembered, you have to live on purpose. I'm going to say that one more time. If you want to be remembered, you have to live on purpose. So get out there and live on purpose. I'm excited. Let's start chapter 5.